Hi everybody, today I want to talk about one of the most powerful ways to increase your gem stack, and that is stacking or buying duplicates of a collectible. Let's get to it. So as you know, I've been collecting comics for a while, and I think one of the most important things that we do is buy duplicates. You're speccing on a comic or a collectible, you're buying very, very low, and you're hoping that it catches fire. And then because you have duplicates, you're going to be able to, sell all of them and make a big profit. So I'll give you an example. This is a comic, New Agents of Atlas. It has the first Asian team. It has Shang-Chi down here and a number of first appearances. And of course, what did I do? I bought a bunch of them. I have a lot of others as well. And I sent one in recently, if you've been watching. I got a 9.8. Some of these are probably 9.8s, but I'll send those in when the time is right. But the same thing can be done with Veve. I want to talk about it. I have three things, three tips that I use when I do it. So let's get right to it. Okay, so the first one is you have to be patient and kind of wait for the right one. And what is the right one? So in my mind, and this is kind of contrary to what we normally think, is you want to find the collectible that's going to be really cheap so you can afford it, and there's going to be a bunch of them, which, like I said, generally looking for things that are more scarce. But the key thing here is that it's a huge character or brand name that everybody knows. In other words, one of the people that I talked about earlier would be like Ghost Spider. Not a lot of people, if you go out on the street and start interviewing people, know who Ghost Spider is. Do they know who Spider-Man is? Yes, they do. So I'm filming this today, and it was the drop of Black Panther. So I will give that particular character as an example. Before the movie, of course, hardly anybody knew who Black Panther was. But because the movie was so successful and was such a phenomenon, most people know who Black Panther is. And so he is a great candidate. So what am I going to do? I'm going to stack up on the common and uncommons. So you're searching and waiting for a collectible that you can buy duplicates of. And at this point in the game, with where everything is at, you want to grab something that is less than 100. Now, there's two reasons for that. Number one, depending on how much money you have, you'll be able to buy more of them. But number two, so we want a collectible that's relatively cheap. So as newer people are entering the app, this might be a collectible they could go for, and it will quickly pull these mints, pull these collectibles out of circulation. And that's really going to, cause the price to go up. But we still have to be patient. I'm going to talk about that in a second too. After the drop, as we know, you never want to buy generally speaking, you never want to buy when they're still minting them and sending them out because the prices are all crazy. And then after that, there's kind of a glut, so there might be an opportunity to buy there, but then they kind of stick around. And you really want to wait for the next couple drops or another big drop to go after these. Now, I did buy a couple. I'll tell you some prices that I purchased Black Panther for. But you really want to wait for the next big thing, because then Black Panther, everybody will forget about it, and then you'll be able to grab some of these common and uncommons. And let me talk a little bit about that. So there's the common and the uncommon, and I will go for whichever one is cheaper. Now, normally you would think the uncommon would be more, but that's not always the case. And so, for example, today, because Black Panther is common, he's in the iconic Wakanda Forever pose. That one was going for more than the uncommon, so it doesn't matter to me. I'll buy the cheaper one. So I was able to get a couple of the uncommons for 70, and I got a couple of the commons for around 85. I probably could have been more patient. I did buy only 2 or 3 of each of them. I plan on buying a couple more later, hopefully, as the prices go down. But there's another big drop coming this weekend, and maybe there'll be something next weekend, and you just got to be patient. So you're accumulating, and you want to probably, like I said, try to accumulate under these price points which we have right now, which are around 80 or 90 for each of these collectibles. Really what we see here is this cycle, and I know a lot of other creators have talked about it, and for me, I think it's around 3 months, 2 to 3 months. That's what we're seeing. And it could change because this game is always changing. And so I'll give the example of Storm, who isn't nearly as popular as Black Panther, but I was still able to pull it off. So when Storm dropped, the commons were, I can't remember, they were maybe 80 or something like that. But then immediately they fell to 50 and 40 gems. So I was able to stack up on a bunch of them. And then I knew over time, eventually they'd be eaten up. And yes, after about 2 to 3 months, they were selling for about 150. So you're able to triple your money there. Obviously, you got to take out the fees. And if it's Marvel, it's going to be, the 8.5%. So you got to, make sure you calculate that in. But therein allows me to make some profit. So now, 3 months later, I have gems to buy the next stuff. And so you just continue this cycle. And then I do keep some of the storms just in case for later. I think I have maybe 2 or 3 left. But this process, you've also heard me, I've done it with Ultimate Fallout 4. But once you get in, so it's difficult. If you're just starting right now, let's pretend you got into Black Panther and you got 3 or 4 or 5 of them. You'd have to wait 2 or 3 months for Black Panther to go up. And then you'd finally have some more liquidity, and then you could start the process again. So right when you're beginning, there's this 2 to 3 months period, unless you're going to pour more money into the app, which you could. But if you wanted to wait, then after that 2 or 3 months, then you would have more gems, and then you can start the process again. And so if you're slowly moving forward, you're going to get more and more gems. And so for myself, that's where I get a lot of the gems. And every time this cycle happens, I'm going from hundreds of gems to thousands of gems, although I have been spending them on various things. They can go fast, as we all know. So I'm just looking to repeat this process again and again. Now, what I like to do, and I've said this before, is I have these, 15 grails that I just pretend like I don't even have. And so it doesn't come into my mind to ever even sell those. And that would be like, Walt, Superman, Todd, etc. So the only other times that this kind of duplicate thing doesn't work is if you want to spend a bunch of gems on a secret rare. And what happens in that point is you can use up all your gems and then you're kind of stuck because you don't have any liquidity. And I've talked about that before. You need to be very, careful of that. And so really what I like to say to people, especially that are beginning, is you do need to put some money in. Try to find, and I know you want to go after something that you love. So if you love Black Panther, you buy it, or a bunch of other things, then you've locked yourself into collectibles that you never want to sell. And so if you have collectibles that you don't want to sell, then you tend to, sell them at inopportune times. Whereas if you have duplicates, you have multiples, and so you can put together target prices and what you want to sell, and then it becomes more of a mechanical transaction. There's less emotion, and you'll be able to make the profit. So that's what I have for you guys today. I've repeated this process over and over in comics and on the Veve app. If you have any questions, definitely throw them below. I appreciate you guys for watching. Take care.